At this moment, a loud cow cry came from not far away. Hearing the cry of the cow, Luo Sha was slightly taken aback, and turned his head to look. I saw an old cow pulling a cart with red eyes, a few grasses stuck in its nose, and its 4 hooves scratching fast, rushing towards here. On the bullock cart, a young man was jolted left and right, obviously unable to control it. At the same time, a strong ollie smell wafted along with it, causing Luo Sha's complexion to change slightly. This smell, being driven all the way by the crazy old cow, Chiba almost spewed out the food from being bumped. In particular, he saw 2 more people in front of him. In desperation, Chiba had no choice but to activate his ability. However, he didn't have time. Plop! The violent shaking threw Chiba out of the bullock cart, causing him to fall into a dog and eat shit. Why do I feel that this scene is a bit familiar? With his face on the ground, Chiba felt that he had experienced this posture once. You are the trash who killed the Sand Eagle team? Suddenly, an indifferent voice sounded. It was Luo Sha. Luo Sha remembered this smell. This disgusting ollie smell came from the body of the Sand Eagle team. Whoosh! 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 Sand shinobi ninjas appeared one after another, standing behind Luo Sha. However, as soon as these sand shinobi appeared, they all frowned. Why does it smell like ollie? Did this fall from the bullock cart? I think so. A dozen sand shinobi covered their mouths and noses one after another, and finally felt a little better. Rosa frowned. He couldn't believe it. Such a waste that can fall from a bullock cart can actually destroy the Sand Eagle squad. At this time, the youth on the ground moved. Chiba got up and glanced at the group of sand shinobi in front of him. It turned out to be the enemy. He grinned. Activate the imitation ability. Mist shinobi technique. Instantly, the surrounding environment changed suddenly, and a yellow mist filled the air. This is vomit. Mom. This taste, you. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Shiin technique. My head is dizzy, vomit. As soon as the yellow mist appeared, the smell 10 times stronger than before drifted out, immediately making the group of sand shinobi vomit. Even Luo Sha was overwhelmed by the strong taste of ollie, and his stomach kept churning. Everyone hold your breath. Luo Sha spoke, thinking of a countermeasure. As his voice fell, a group of sand shinobi were all out of breath. Just relying on this disgusting little trick? Suppressing the feeling of vomiting, his eyes scanned the surroundings, trying to find the location of the other party. But the next moment, Earth-style, Wangchen Swamp. Hidden in the mist, Chiba activated his imitation ability again, imitating Jiraiya's ninjutsu. The ground changed abruptly. In an instant, it turned into a huge steaming cesspool. Plop. 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 F*K. What is this? A cesspit. Ah. Why is it still steaming? Why can't my feet come out? Dung escape ninja. He is Dung escape ninja. This change was so fast that a group of sand shinobi had no time to react, and they all fell into the cesspit. The excrement in the cesspit was extremely viscous, it seemed to be like super glue, and it exuded an unbearable strong ollie smell. Even Luo Sha was tricked. Struggling to free himself, Luo Sha found that his feet were difficult to pull out. Everyone, don't break free with your feet, lean your body forward, and climb out. As expected of being a disciple of Third Cage, Luo Sha quickly thought of a way. So, instead of struggling, a group of sand shinobi leaned forward one by one, increasing the contact area. As a result, they had to face the viscous feces and endure bursts of unspeakable stench. But compared to being able to climb out, they obviously wanted to climb out. Want to crawl out? You guys are so naive. Chiba opened his mouth quietly, and snapped his fingers towards the void. Ability activation, 5-grain reincarnation. Gululu. Gululu. Damn it. My stomach. Damn it. It's so strong. Puff. I can't hold it in anymore. Haha. These sand shinobi are all crawling, but with a strong desire to defecate. More than half of the sand shinobi are covering their stomachs. Result. Ha. 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 Their faces fell on the dung. To be decisive, it has to be Luo Sha. Everyone, don't hold back, just pull it out, and crawl out first. Everyone, don't hold back, just pull it out, and crawl out first. After speaking, Luo Sha continued to crawl towards the cesspit. The other sand shinobi looked at Luo Sha one after another, suddenly realizing. As expected of Master Cage's disciple, experience is rich. Don't worry about your trouser pockets. Didn't you see that even Captain Luo Sha's trouser pockets are wet? Climb quickly. Just climb out of the cesspit. Hold on to. With Luo Sha taking the lead, everyone's morale was boosted. You guys can really hold on. Seeing this scene, Chiba sighed. Since the will of this group of sand shinobi is so tenacious, he can only make up one trick. Imitation ability activated, fire style, great fireball technique. In the cesspit, Luo Sha, who was about to climb out of the cesspit, was stunned. Not only was he stunned, but the other sand shinobi were also stunned, their scalps tingling. I saw a huge dung ball with a diameter of more than 10 meters rolling towards the cesspit with an extremely fast speed. Such a big dung ball, once it touches the sand shinobi in the dung pit, it can definitely press them into the dung. Everyone, don't panic. Luo Sha looked dignified, calming everyone's emotions. Afterwards, he didn't care about climbing ashore, and pushed his hands forward directly. Shield of gold dust. With a burst of shouting, the chakra in Luo Sha's body gushed out crazily. In an instant, a huge sand wall rose from the edge of the pit. Dwang. Almost at the same time, the giant dung ball hit the sand wall, making a dull crashing sound. Block it. Stop it. Good job, Captain. As expected of the disciple of Lord Third Cage. Climb quickly, everyone. Seeing that the dung ball was blocked, a group of sand shinobi immediately became hopeful and continued to climb towards the dung pit. Only. Whoosh. The huge dung ball that was blocked suddenly lifted into the air and flew into the mid-air above the dung pit. It really makes me worry. Controlling the dung ball to lift into the air, Chiba decided to smash these people to death. The edge of the cesspit rose aside. He knew that there was really no way to help these subordinates this time, so he could only wish them good luck. Sandpad. Controlling the little gold placer left, Luo Sha barely condensed a suspended sand cushion. Afterwards, he hugged the sandpad, ready to take off and run. Team leader. At this moment, a subordinate's voice sounded behind him. This subordinate obviously had a tenacious will, but he crawled behind Luo Sha without making a sound. Next moment, Luo Sha was dumbfounded. His legs were hugged by his subordinates. As the sandpad lifted into the air, Luo Sha lost his grip and was dragged directly into the cesspit by his subordinates. Luo Sha was dumbfounded. He never expected that he, who could have escaped smoothly, was dragged back by his subordinates. Ha! His face fell directly into the cesspit, and Luo Sha's whole body was not well. At this moment, the huge dung ball above the head fell down. Puff! A giant dung ball with a diameter of 15 meters fell, smashing the bodies of all sand shinobi into the dung in an instant. Gululu. Help! Gollum. Oh my god! I ate it in my mouth. Gulu. I'm sinking. Gollum. More than half of sand shinobi in the cesspit disappeared at once, only a few heads were stubbornly exposed, and it was not far from sinking completely. Seeing this scene, Chiba nodded in satisfaction. He didn't pay attention to the situation in the pit anymore, he felt that he had to get the old cow back first. When Chiba found Lao Niu, he was overjoyed. At this time, the old cow was stuck in the middle of two big trees, lying weakly in the nest, and in front of the cow, a young man who was unconscious on the ground was covered in blood, and he didn't know if he was dead or not. Chiba sniffed the boy's breath, but temporarily ignored it. The other party was not dead, but passed out in a coma. Let's go to the place where the explosion happened before. Strolling along the way, he walked into the forest where the explosion started. Limbs and arms were broken, the ground was potholed, and even several big trees fell down. These corpses should belong to the ninjas in the village. Do you want to collect them and bring them back? After thinking for a moment, Chiba turned around and returned to the place where the boy was unconscious. The boy woke up. Fujiki was awakened by smoke. The first thing he felt when he opened his eyes was a strong sense of vomiting. Are you Chiba? After seeing the back figure standing in front of him, Fujiki's face was full of confusion. Immediately, he did not know where to take out 2 cotton swabs, and quickly stuffed them into his nose. Where's Sand Shinobi? Where's that scary Sand Shinobi? You saved me. Looking around, Fujiki asked 3 times. As a result, Chiba didn't even bird him. At this time, Chiba was studying how to drag the cattle out, otherwise he would have to walk back to the village. Go and collect the corpses of your teammates. Without even looking at the boy behind him, Chiba dropped this sentence. Okay. Okay. Seemingly startled by Chiba's powerful aura, Fujiki nodded hastily and ran towards the opposite forest. When Fujiki finished collecting the corpses of his teammates, he found that Chiba was already waiting for him on the road. Waiting for him together as the escaped cow. It's just that the cow didn't find itself, but was grazing. Take off your clothes, understand? Glancing at Fujiki, Chiba spoke lightly. Understood. Cow. Fujiki nodded repeatedly, with a concise tone. This surprised Chiba, and couldn't help but look at him a few more times. Not long after, the two hit the road. Sitting on the bullock cart, Fujiki carefully folded the clothes, and then put the clothes and the broken limbs in the package together. This is the captain's remains, Senior Chiba, don't get me wrong. Seemingly worried about Chiba's misunderstanding, Fujiki explained. Misunderstand? Non-existent. But what puzzled Chiba was that the other party seemed to know him. Have we met? No. Then how do you know me? Looking at the boy with a cotton swab on his nose, Chiba asked a question in his heart. Senior, don't you know? You are very famous in the village. Very famous? Hearing this, Chiba became interested. Go on. Senior, you have awakened Shiden, and you have a scent that can make other people dare not get close. Almost all the ninjas in the village know about it. Speaking of this, Fujiki had an apology on his face. Also, Senior, you saved me, I want to apologize to you. Ahem. Don't say it before I apologize, in fact, what I awakened is not Shiden. Chiba coughed twice, intending to correct the ugly name. Shit escape? It's so out of character. It's nauseating to hear. So that's the case, I said. If you were really Shiden, how could you save me? Fujiki believed Chiba's statement. But, the smell on your body? Although Fujiki believed it, how could Ali on the opponent's body explain it to Wei Wei? Smell? This is a side effect of the awakening process of my blood inheritance limit. Yes, a side effect. Chiba thought he was too smart, so he opened his mouth without even thinking about it. What is quick thinking? What is lying without drafting? This is. The ox cart returned to the village slowly. Compared with the speed when he came, the old cow seems to have become more stable now, without the previous impulse. On the bullock cart, Fujiki was still struggling. In the end, he still felt that he should apologize to the other party. After all, he had promised his father to teach him a lesson, and in the end, he was saved. This is a great kindness, and Fujiki cannot be ungrateful. Looking at Chiba, who closed his eyes and rested his mind, Fujiki swallowed his words as soon as they reached his lips. What if I disturb the senior? After thinking about it, he decided to wait until the senior opened his eyes. In the cesspit of Wangchenjiao brand. Grunt. A string of bubbles popped out, and then, a head popped out of the cesspit. It was Luo Sha. If Chiba saw this scene, he would definitely be surprised. All the sand shinobi were drowned in the cesspit. How could Luo Sha get his head out? Although you dragged me down, I want to thank you now. Luo Sha, whose face was covered in dung, muttered to himself, kicking his feet violently. Next moment, a large part of his body jumped out. In the cesspit, he kicked the body of that subordinate, sinking even deeper. Obviously, Luo Sha used the other party's corpse as a pedal. Sandpad. After consuming the few chakra in his body, Luo Sha got out of the cesspit holding the sandpad and landed successfully. Who? Sitting slumped on the ground, he gasped heavily. Holding her breath in the cesspit for so long, Luo Sha was almost suffocated to death. Fortunately, the subordinate who dragged him down just sank under his feet, allowing him to escape from death. Get out of here first. After observing the situation for the next 4 weeks, his figure, whoosh, disappeared in place, throwing out a large amount of dung ideas. Hokage Building Conference Room. At this time, a high-level meeting is being held in the conference room. Besides Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo, Mitokado Homura and Udatane Kaharu were also present. The content of the meeting is not about Sand Shinobi, but Rain Shinobi Village. The Hanzo of Rain Shinobi Village sent a notice, saying that he will participate in the resource allocation of the 5 major countries. What do you think of this matter? Spreading out a scroll on the table, Sarutobi Hiruzen gestured for several people to watch. Spreading out a scroll on the table, Sarutobi Hiruzen gestured for several people to watch. So, the 3 people stretched their necks and looked at the content on the scroll. As if feeling too tired to stretch his neck, Danzo simply grabbed the scroll and put it directly in front of himself. Danzo. What plane are you flying? Watching the scroll being taken away by Danzo, Homura and Kaharu were furious. Aren't you tired of stretching your necks? Isn't it the same if I read it first and then show it to you? Danzo opened his mouth quietly, without looking up, and quickly scanned the content on the scroll. Seeing this scene, Sarutobi Hiruzen was speechless and did not interrupt. After a while, Danzo finished reading. Hanzo wants Rain Shinobi Village to become the 6th ninja village. Turning to look at Sarutobi Hiruzen, Danzo expressed his opinion without any intention of handing the scroll to the other two. Danzo, you were too much. You don't take us two consultants seriously. Homura couldn't take it anymore, and Kaharu couldn't take it anymore, and squirted at Danzo. It's just that it's useless. Danzo didn't even look at the two of them, he straightened his mind and continued to speak. The reason why our 5 great ninja villages are 5 great ninja villages is not only because we are strong, but most importantly, we have tailed beasts. What does Rain Shinobi Village have? Just one Hanzo, and you want to participate in the distribution of resources? With a sneer, Danzo disdains. It's just that he seems to have forgotten that not only the 5 major ninja villages have tailed beasts, but Takian Village also has tailed beasts. Snapped. Homura on one side grabbed the scroll and looked down with Kaharu. This gave Sarutobi Hiruzen an illusion. It seems that among them, only Danzo has the ability to participate in major decision-making. Didn't you see that Danzo has finished speaking? And Homura and Kaharu are still scratching their heads to read the information. Then how do you think Konoha should respond? Looking at Danzo, Sarutobi Hiruzen asked. Fight, must fight. Danzo's tone was firm and he continued to speak. 3rd Kazekage of San Shinobi Village is very ambitious. He has swallowed the country of rivers and pushed the front line to the border of our country of fire. If we can open the passage to the country of rain, we will be able to attack San Shinobi from both sides. Indeed, not only Danzo thinks so, Sarutobi Hiruzen also thinks this way. Judging from the current situation, if the land of rain is not attacked, then Konoha can only defend passively. But once a passage is opened in the land of rain, Konoha can send surprise troops to outflank San Shinobi's frontline troops from the side. It can be said that Hanzo's announcement came very well, giving Konoha a perfect excuse to start a war. At this time, Homura and Kaharu also read the information. It turned out, they found, that Hiruzen and Danzo had already set the tone. Thump. 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 Suddenly, hurried footsteps came from outside the meeting room. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned. The 3 of Danzo also looked at the door of the conference room together. Pedal. An Anbu came in and handed a piece of information to 3rd Hokage. Looking at this intelligence from the front, Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned even deeper. Let's take a look. Throwing the intelligence scroll on the table, Sarutobi Hiruzen waited for the advice of the other 3. Here. Mitokado Homura's eyes were quick, and he swiped the scroll without giving Danzo the slightest chance. Then, Homura and Kaharu looked at it with their heads together. But seeing this, Homura was shocked. Luo Sha, a disciple of 3rd Kazekage, actually sneaked into our country? The infiltration time is uncertain? Mitokado Homura paled in shock, and stood up with a crack sound. He is really in a hurry. Because his son has already gone to the #1 supply station, if he encounters Luo Sha, he will definitely die. As a consultant, why are you so impatient? Danzo had a weird, sardonic tone. Although he didn't know the content on the scroll, as a high-ranking member of Konoha, Danzo felt that calmness and calmness were the most basic. Being ridiculed by Danzo, Homura was completely overwhelmed. This is about his son's life. Next moment. Lousy has tolerated you for a long time. Homura yelled angrily and punched Danzo in the face with his fist. Boom. Bang. F*K. Danzo never imagined that the consultants of the dignified village would do something to him. As a result, he fell to the ground with the chair, and a big bag was knocked out of the back of his head. Originally, Danzo thought it was over. But what he never expected was that Udatane Kaharu appeared in front of him and kicked him on the head. Stop. Fortunately, Sarutobi Hiruzen shouted fast, otherwise the kick would have landed on Danzo's face. What are you doing? 1 assistant, 2 consultants, fighting in the meeting room. Do you still look like a village high level? After yelling at the 3 of them, Sarutobi Hiruzen blushed angrily and had a thick neck. Facing Hokage's scolding, Homura and Kaharu calmed down. The 2 of them calmed down, but Danzo has nowhere to vent his anger. It was obvious that the 2 opponents surrounded and beat him, but Sarutobi Hiruzen actually said that the 3 of them had a big fight. Has he Danzo made a shot? He was being beaten the whole time. It's just that, for Danzo's anger, the other 3 didn't even think about him. Danzo was silent after watching this scene. He knew it was Hiruzen beating himself, warning himself. It's just that this kind of warning is a bit hard for Danzo to accept. Homura, tell me your opinion. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Mitokado Homura and spoke slowly. After all, he knew that Homura's son had gone to supply station number 1. In order to consider his old partner's feelings, he was the first to ask him. Immediately send someone to the supply station to confirm the situation. By the way, round up Luo Shaw. I agree. As Homura spoke, Udatane Kaharu echoed. Next, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Danzo. Danzo, what do you think? Facing Hiruzen's inquiry, Danzo has already greeted the ancestors of the Sarutobi clan more than a dozen times in his heart. Danzo is so angry. I think? You guys have already made a final decision, and you still turn around and ask me. I think you're a big piece of shit. Of course, this is what Danzo thinks in his heart. He can't say it, he can only hold it in his heart. His complexion changed several times, and in the end, Danzo could only nod helplessly. Snort. Homura and Kaharu looked at Danzo, and both snorted coldly. Although the two of them are consultants, they have no roots in the village. With his back to the village, Hokage commands the ninjas in the entire village, and with the help of his family and Anbu, his power is the strongest. Danzo's Shimura family is also powerful, and has also formed a root, and its power is not weak. Only Homura and Kaharu. Without any support behind them, they could only choose one side to stand in line with. This is also the main reason why Danzo underestimated the two of them. Of course, Homura and Kaharu also know this truth. If it hadn't involved the life and death of Homura's son this time, Mitokado Homura would never have done anything to Danzo. Finally, Sarutobi Hiruzen issued the order after the unanimous approval of Konoha's senior management. Summon Orochimaru, Jiraiya and Tsunade immediately. Quickly. 3 young figures appeared in Hokage's office. Impressively Orochimaru, Jiraiya and Tsunade. Teacher. Homura-sama. Facing Sarutobi Hiruzen and Mitokado Homura in the room, the 3 spoke in unison. Now I give you an important task. Looking at these 3 proud disciples, Sarutobi Hiruzen's tone was quite dignified. Teacher, please tell me. Orochimaru spoke and responded on behalf of the 3. You set off immediately to the number 1 supply station. If it is destroyed, you will take advantage of the situation to inspect the number 2 and number 3 supply stations. And, after inspecting these 3 places, you will search for Luo Shaw in the territory. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't speak fast, and said the mission this time. Rosa? The sand shinobi who claims to be manipulating gold dust? A disciple of 3rd Kazekage. The 3 of Orochimaru glanced at each other, suddenly stunned. Since 3rd Kazekage dares to send his disciples to the land of fire, I will also send mine to round him up. I want to see whether his disciples are stronger or mine. Sarutobi Hiruzen chuckled and talked to himself. He seems to have forgotten that 3rd Kazekage sent out 1 disciple, while he sent out 3 disciples. Just as the 3 were about to go, Mitokado Homura spoke. If you see Fujiki's body at supply station number 1, bring him back. After speaking, Homura threw out a scroll. Seal scroll? Taking the scroll, Orochimaru nodded. The bullock cart is slowly moving towards Konoha village. Originally, the supply goods on the bullock cart were transported to the supply station, but now they have to be brought back to the village. Hey! What's the matter with this cow? At this time, Fujiki was a little confused and couldn't understand Lao Niu's operation. The old cow stopped and walked, and from time to time he would come to the side of the road to nibble on the grass for a while, without the spirit of hard work at all. Don't make such a fuss, just get used to it. Leaning on the cargo, Chiba opened his eyes and opened his mouth to remind. Cow, isn't it normal to eat some grass when you're hungry? Senior, you are awake. Fujiki hurriedly answered. A person is lonely, and Fujiki couldn't stand this kind of loneliness and felt panicked. Aren't you talking nonsense? How can I talk if I don't wake up? Rolling his eyes at the other party, Chiba twisted his body, ready to squint for a while. After all, there is nothing on the road, so I can only pass the time by sleeping. After all, there is nothing on the road, so I can only pass the time by sleeping. However, Fujiki obviously didn't give him a chance. Senior Chiba, how did you save me? That sand shinobi is so powerful that even the captain of elite Chunin was instantly killed. Fujiki was very curious, how did Chiba save himself? He witnessed that sand shinobi's strong Yamato was cruel, and according to Fujiki's estimation, the other party was definitely a powerful Jonin. How did I save you? I didn't even ask your name, but you asked how I saved you. Forehead. Fujiki was stunned by what Chiba said. Immediately, he suddenly realized. Yes. The ninja's abilities and methods are kept secret, and he saved himself without even knowing his name, but he inquired about his secret methods? I was reckless, sorry. Bowing to Chiba, Fujiki's tone was sincere. By the way, senior, my name is Mito Fujiki. Listening to the other party's self-introduction, Chiba was indifferent and drowsy. My father's name is Mitokado Homura, Now, Chiba reacted. He turned his head and looked at Fujiki carefully. Mitokado Homura? Village advisor. High level. Is it your father? King said it earlier. Fujiki, do you know that there is a ninjutsu called face changing? Face changing? I don't know. I know transformation technique. Fujiki shook his head thoughtfully. Then do you want to watch the face change? Chiba is persuasive. Okay, senior, please teach me. Fujiki looked forward. Next moment, Chiba's expression changed. The original arrogance and indifference disappeared, replaced by that familiar smile. Fujiki, right? Good brother. Holding the other's palm, Chiba was full of enthusiasm, as if the other was his long-lost brother. At the same time as he opened his mouth, a large stream of Ali was sprayed out by the smell, and all of it was sprayed on Fujiki's face. Fujiki was stunned. Not only was the change in the other party's attitude confusing him, but what made him even more puzzled was that he suddenly felt sticky on his face and mouth. Ever since, he wiped his mouth with his hand, and wiped his face by the way. At this time, Chiba had already let go of his hand, leaned against the side of the car, and turned his body to the other side by the way. Ah! Shouts of terror resounded through the sky. Plop. As Fujiki fell off the bullock cart, Chiba couldn't bear to look directly. He swears, he really didn't mean to. Said he sprayed Ali whenever he spoke. He wouldn't admit it even if he was killed. It must be that he hasn't come out of the panic yet, which caused the meridians to become disordered, and the feces flowed up and onto his face. This has nothing to do with me. Chiba found the reason for the scene just now, and praised his wit. Good brother. Come up. Looking at Fujiki who fell to the ground, Chiba extended a caring hand with love. Only. The slumped Fujiki shook his head vigorously, seemingly reluctant. Good brother. Didn't you just fall off the bullock cart? What's the matter? I've already fallen twice, nothing happened. Chiba persuaded with kind words and sincerely. Come on. Take my hand. After speaking, he jumped out of the car directly. Ah. Fujiki didn't know what to do, so he could only bite the bullet and went back to the bullock cart. As soon as he got into the car, Fujiki immediately took out a thick mask from his ninja bag and put it on his face. You. Chiba looked surprised, thinking that the other party was too weird. Take the mask out of the ninja bag? What is this operation? Is the ninja bag a place to put masks? For Chiba's doubts, Fujiki scratched his head in embarrassment. He couldn't say that this was originally prepared by him to teach Chiba a lesson, right? Senior, will the smell on your body be with you for the rest of your life? In order to hide his guilty conscience, Fujiki changed the subject. Life companion. Also TM forever. In fact, even Chiba himself doesn't know the answer to this question. From the moment he ate the dung fruit, he seemed to be like this. However, he was still stubborn. Actually, this smell is just a side effect of my ability awakening. When my ability is fully awakened, this smell will disappear. With an inscrutable tone, Chiba casually made up a reason. But immediately, Chiba was taken aback for a moment. He seemed to have said this foolish reason before? So that's how it is. Fujiki believed it. And believe it. Afterwards, the expression on Fujiki's face gradually became firmer, as if he had made a lot of determination. Senior Chiba, you saved me. Then let me be by your side when you are most lonely. Fujiki's tone was firm, but Chiba was dumbfounded. Is the other party serious? A big man said he wanted to stay by his side? How does this feel weird? It's not that Chiba has never thought about eliminating the smell on his body, but he has no way at present. This is also the reason why he would wear clothes made of plastic bags at night. Involuntarily, he opened the attribute panel, and his eyes fell on the column of the fruit's initial ability. Fruit initial ability, upgradable, reincarnation of 5 grains, control feces in all living organisms. After scanning this ability introduction, Chiba gradually had a bold idea in his heart. He thought, if he upgraded this ability and used it on himself, would the smell on his body be drained? But now that there are people in the car, he just thinks about it. Senior Chiba, leave the smell on your body to me, and I will help you find a way during this time. Seeing Chiba frowning and thinking, Fujiki said something thoughtfully. As the son of Mitokado Homura, Although Fujiki's strength is not very good, just because he can take out cotton swabs and masks can show that his creativity is still very high. It was getting dark. The ox cart turned east and west, and finally arrived at the village. Ching Tian, the guard at the entrance of the village, looked at the supplies on the bullock cart with a dazed expression on his face, and he didn't forget to cover his mouth. He clearly remembered that Chiba was going to the supply station to deliver the goods in the morning. Why did he come back at night and the goods were still there? Could it be that the other party forgot? What made him even more incomprehensible was why Mito Fujiki came back with him. Didn't this high-ranking son go to station the supply station? Senior Qingtian, we have important matters to report to my father, so let's go in first. Fujiki on the bullock cart yelled, jumped out of the cart, and took Chiba's arm into the village. Are you serious? Pull my arm? I'm afraid others will misunderstand. Chiba was a little awkward and couldn't help complaining. The strong smell of Ali followed Chiba and floated into the entrance of the village, and the smoked Qingtian jumped out several meters away. Watching the two enter the village helplessly, Qingtian didn't dare to stop them. If Chiba was alone, he would stop him, but there is also Fujiki, the official second generation. Chiba, this is a salted fish turned around. In the morning, my status is not as good as mine. Why did I get mixed up in the circle of the official second generation when I came back at night? Qingtian felt a little unbelievable. After all, in his understanding, people of Fujiki's status would only hang out with Hokage's son and the children of major families. Konoha Village. As soon as he entered the village, Fujiki pulled Chiba up the wall, and walked around the wall of Konoha Village for more than half a circle. Do you have to drag me around? Chiba is not calm anymore. If there is a road but not to go to the wall? Facing Chiba's complaints, Fujiki smiled wryly, his face full of helplessness. He wasn't worried about the bad smell on the other party, but that the timing was wrong. At this point, it happened to be mealtime. Fujiki believes that once Chiba appears on the street at this time, he is afraid that he will be hunted down by the whole street. Finally, the two walked into the residential area, heading towards Mitokado Homura's courtyard. Huh? This residential area? I seem to have been here last night? Looking at the somewhat familiar environment, Chiba became suspicious. He remembered that he seemed to have been here last night, but because it was night, Chiba was a little uncertain. Mitokado Homura was in a low mood. He returned home early today and packed up his son's clothes. Mitokado Homura has given up little hope that his son is still alive. Because he knew that Luo Sha would monitor the rebuilt supply station and launch another attack. After folding the laundry, Homura walked out of the house. He wanted to burn these clothes as a sacrifice to his son. After all, the son also needs to change clothes below. Dwang. As soon as he walked into the yard, the gate was pushed open from the outside forcefully, startling Homura. Next moment, Homura was stunned. Son? Seeing his son appear, Homura was so happy that it was hard to describe, but he smelled Ali as soon as he opened his mouth, and the feeling of vomiting rose from his stomach to his mouth in an instant. At this time, the clothes in his hand came in handy. Covering his mouth and nose with a thick layer of clothing, Mitokado Homura felt comfortable. His eyes were pleasantly surprised, and he looked at his son Fujiki. But then, he found Chiba behind Fujiki, and his face drooped. You too? Father. Senior Chiba saved me. What? At this moment, Mitokado Homura's face suddenly changed. With gratitude, and with relief. In short, this is a very complicated expression. There are 3 kinds of expressions on one face. If it was in the previous life, it would be a good actor. Chiba calls himself professional in his heart. He knew that it was time for the father and son to reunite next. I'm going home first. Homura-sama, farewell. Chiba is ready to leave. After all, I am here, it smells too much. Good. Come here often. As soon as Mitokado Homura finished saying this, he wanted to give himself a big mouth. Watching Chiba leave the yard, Mitokado Homura breathed a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that the other party would respond just now, but he turned out to be very sensible. That's the impression. Even if he was crushed to the sky by Ali in the cesspit before, it was not as important as someone saving his son's life. Pulling his son into the house, Homura began to ask about the incident. I was supervising construction and then there was an explosion in the forest. Fujiki started talking. Homura listened quietly. I originally thought that the captain and the others could block the attack, but unexpectedly, the captain was seriously injured and fell in front of me. That sand shinobi is scary, he manipulates golden sand. Hearing this, Mitokado Homura was 100% sure that that sand shinobi was Luo Sha. Then what? Then the captain was crushed by the sand. Fujiki's tone seemed to be panicked, and there was obviously some shadow. Fortunately, Senior Chiba came at this time. But his cow lost control. It should be attracted by the blood splashed on my body. Cow out of control? Danzo must have arranged for the cow. Homura's mind directly blamed Danzo for the out-of-control cow. After all, impressions matter. I was stunned by a bull, and when I woke up, Senior Chiba was standing in front of me. Only Chiba. What about Sand Shinobi? Mitokado Homura's expression was a little disbelieving, and he asked. He didn't believe that Chiba could defeat Luo Sha. Who was Rosa? The proud disciple of Third Kazekage, who has mastered magnet style and can manipulate gold dust. How could such a genius be defeated by Chiba? Facing his father's question, Fujiki shook his head. There was no one else in the room at the time, only Senior Chiba. Not even a dead body. No, but there seems to be an extra cesspit. After questioning his son, Mitokado Homura pondered. No dead bodies, just a cesspit. If Luo Sha could be wiped out with just a cesspit, he wouldn't believe it even if he was killed. Something must have happened while Fujiki was in a coma. Could it be that there were other strong people passing by? Or, Chiba really defeated Luo Sha with a cesspit? After thinking about it, Homura couldn't think of the key point. The only thing that made him sure was that everyone underestimated Chiba. Wait a moment. Suddenly, Homura thought of something. He remembered that he was thrown into the sky by the feces in the latrine last night, and was covered in ollie. If it is said that Luo Sha was also covered in a paste, then it can be explained. Thinking of this, Homura's complexion stretched. Konoha Street. As Chiba appeared on the street, the people on the street went crazy. Originally, a young couple was kissing passionately in the corner of the street, but as Chiba walked by, the young couple hugged each other and became you. A lame pedestrian was walking slowly, but when he smelled this smell, Saw Yazi ran faster than a rabbit. Some people vomited puddles while running. What's even more outrageous is that Chiba saw someone eating with a bowl on the side of the street, and even threw the bowl away while eating. I'm hungry too. Seeing other people eating, Chiba also got hungry. So he decided to buy a roast. Now, wherever Chiba went, it became a disaster area. Thump, 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 bang, crackling. Pedestrians ran wildly, residents closed their windows, and even the shops along the way were closed. Everyone backs away. For a moment, Chiba found himself surrounded by emptiness. No, I have to buy barbecue quickly. What if the store is closed? Hungry growling, he ran to the door of the barbecue shop. Today's barbecue is really delicious. Vomit. F*K. What's the smell? Why is it so disgusting? You. Is this baked with shit? Ah. I can't take it anymore. Vomit. The customers in the barbecue shop exploded, one by one leaning on the table, and you got up. Boss, have a barbecue. Chiba's voice sounded from the door of the store. As he opened his mouth, a strong smell wafted into the barbecue restaurant. Now, the customers in the store were completely confused. Run, everyone. The Dung King is coming. Vomit. With the sound of this shout, the crowd in the store squeezed out like crazy, for fear that they would be slow. Whoosh. 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 A ninja directly used the body flicker technique to leave, and Chiba was taken aback for a while. In just a few moments, the barbecue restaurant became empty. Brother Chiba, as long as you don't come to my shop in the future, I will send you a barbecue every day. At this time, the shopkeeper came out clutching a thick towel, speaking in a tone that was about to cry. Near supply station number 1. 3 figures came out of the forest. Not found. Gathering together, the 3 shook their heads one after another. This is the 3 of Orochimaru, who have just finished exploring around the supply station. Eventually, they came to the place of the only clue. Marsh brand cesspit. Standing by the pit, the eyes of the few people swept over the feces in the pit. Aren't you sick of standing here? Jiraiya is a little on top and wants to stay away. But when he looked over at the 2 teammates, Jiraiya was dumbfounded. I saw that both Tsunade and Orochimaru were wearing masks. Where did you get the masks? Jiraiya couldn't believe it. He wondered if the 2 teammates already knew something. Otherwise, why would you carry this thing with you? Orochimaru and Tsunade ignored him in response to his query, but kept looking up and down the cesspit. Did you see it? Well, vomit, a lot of vomit. Orochimaru and Tsunade asked and answered, and Jiraiya was full of question marks. It's excrement. Hey! Did you say something wrong? Tsunade. Hastily correcting Tsunade's remarks, Jiraiya found that Tsunade still had no bird himself. At this time, Tsunade and Orochimaru are like two experienced detectives, while Jiraiya is like a Maori Kogoro, in a fog, without knowing why. Whoosh! Suddenly, a winding green snake rushed out of Orochimaru's arm and plunged straight into the cesspit. As soon as the green snake entered the cesspit, Orochimaru immediately felt strong resistance and stickiness. Very strong viscosity. While exclaiming, Orochimaru looked shocked. This is no ordinary cesspit, there is extremely viscous swamp clay in it. His voice sounded, as if to remind his teammates. Tsunade looked thoughtful, and Jiraiya, cut, without caring. Clay. I used to play with it when I was a child, Orochimaru. You are not afraid of this stuff, are you? Jiraiya. You shut up. After yelling at Jiraiya, Tsunade stared at the cesspit, waiting. Okay. You guys continue to play shit here. Jiraiya, who was hit continuously, dropped this sentence, turned around and ran into the woods. After a while, he ran back again. It's just that Jiraiya has 2 leaves stuck in his nose at this time. Mint leaves are a good thing. Insert them into the nose, and even people will be refreshed. Talking proudly to himself, Jiraiya leaned against Tsunade, nostrils up. Obviously, he was showing off. But he found tragically that the other party didn't even look at him, as if the dung in the cesspit was more attractive than himself. Found it. At this time, Orochimaru's face relaxed, and the green snake on his arm began to shrink. What did you find? You don't think you can catch someone from here, do you? Jiraiya sneered. But then, he shut up. A corpse was rolled out by the green snake and thrown on the ground. Sand shinobi? The moment he saw the corpse, Jiraiya finally looked serious. The corpse has a sand shinobi forehead protector tied around its waist, and its mouth is open and filled with fecal clay. Suffocated to death. Seeing the state of the corpse, Orochimaru made a judgment. Indeed, there is only one trace of being smashed on his body, but it is not a fatal injury. He should have been smashed into a cesspit. Tsunade added at the right time. There should be no such person in our village who can perform earth-style ninjutsu similar to teacher Tuliu Taiga. Jiraiya also joined the discussion. Jiraiya is right. There is an earth-style ninjutsu that restricts people's movements. Only the teacher in our village knows it. But Orochimaru paused, his eyes flashed brightly, and he continued to speak. However, there is one person who can control feces. Impossible. Tsunade was the first to shake his head at Orochimaru's deduction. No way? You don't think that shit king did it, do you? Jiraiya also didn't believe it and scoffed. If it is said that the pit is full of feces, then Jiraiya will believe it. However, only the surface layer of the cesspit is feces, but the inside is extremely viscous clay. Which means it must be a seasoned earth-style ninja who actually created the cesspit. And the shit king in the village was just a commoner before he awakened Shi-dun. This is also the main reason why Tsunade and Jiraiya don't believe it. For the reaction of the two teammates, Orochimaru did not defend himself, but continued to fish people from the cesspit. As the corpses were fished out one after another, the 3 had to admire the earth-style ninja. So many sand shinobi can be drowned in one pit, that earth-style ninja is a genius. Jiraiya couldn't help but compliment, after some salvage. Ultimately, Orochimaru fished out 13 sand shinobi corpses from the cesspit. It's not easy to drown all 13 sand shinobi. Jiraiya sighed. As a result, the two still did not agree. Hey! Please give me some feedback. With a yell of dissatisfaction, Jiraiya was aggrieved. It was obviously a team of 3, making him look like an outsider. At this time, Tsunade and Orochimaru were observing the appearance of each sand shinobi. How could they have time to talk to him? No Luosha. After some confirmation, Tsunade shook his head. Indeed, it's interesting without him. Orochimaru opened his mouth slowly with a strange look on his face. As a teammate, Tsunade quickly noticed Orochimaru's unusual expression. Orochimaru, what have you found? An interesting thing. With a smile on his face, Orochimaru spoke quietly. I salvaged the 13 corpses, and then I found that the last corpse sank 1 meter deeper than the other corpses. Speaking of which, Orochimaru's eyes flicked to Tsunade and Jiraiya. 1 meter deeper. Is he heavier? Jiraiya rushed to answer, but Tsunade rolled her eyes. Isn't it? Of course not. This sand shinobi should have fallen into the cesspit before the others. Tsunade expressed his understanding, but at this moment, Orochimaru shook his head. If he falls in first, the other sand shinobi won't be stupid enough to follow. When Orochimaru said this, the two also felt that it made sense. Since someone fell into the cesspit, how could everyone else jump in? This is simply worse than a pig. Yeah. Then why did he sink deeper than the others? Jiraiya and Tsunade turned into curious babies, looking at Orochimaru together. After all, Orochimaru was considered the smartest of the three. Stared at by the two, Orochimaru asked a question. Didn't you realize that there is one person missing in the cesspit? Few people. Jiraiya scratched her head, wondering who was missing. Will there be fewer people in the cesspit? What kind of logic is this? If you want to talk about IQ, it has to be Tsunade. She finally understood who Orochimaru was referring to. You mean? Luo Sha? That's right, Orochimaru nodded. But at this time, Jiraiya was not happy. How is it possible? He is obviously not in the cesspit. No. It can only be said that he escaped from the cesspit. The most direct evidence is the body of Sand Shinobi who sank 1 meter deeper than the others. Orochimaru's eyes shone with wisdom, and he directly explained the key point. So it is. So it is. Tsunade suddenly realized. I understand. Luo Sha and his subordinates all fell into the cesspit. But Luo Sha used his subordinates as a stepping stone and fled here. Tsunade finally sorted out his thoughts, and felt that Orochimaru was too smart. Only. You're wrong about one thing. Orochimaru again denied Tsunade's statement. No? What's wrong? If it were you, if you fell into the cesspit with a dozen of your subordinates at the same time, would you use your subordinates as pedals in the first place? Orochimaru asked back. Of course not. I'm not as cold-blooded as Luo Sha. Yeah, you won't. Luo Sha won't either. I guess he should have done it after the sinking. Near a creek. Luo Sha lay quietly in the stream, letting the stream wash over her. He has maintained this posture for a long time, in order to wash away the smell of Ali on his body. The night is slowly falling. Finally, Luo Sha stood up. I really didn't expect, I was planted in a cesspit. There was an unconcealable anger on his face, and the killing intent in his heart was extremely strong. Luo Sha never dreamed that a small transporter in Konoha village would kill all 18 of his subordinates. I was too careless. If I had shot at the first time, this result would not have happened. He regretted it, regretted that he had underestimated that young man. Luo Sha didn't pay attention to a waste that could fall off a bullock cart. But the result was that all his subordinates were wiped out, and even he was almost suffocated to death. If I just go back like this, how can I have the face to see the teacher? Looking in the direction of Konoha village with deep eyes, Luo Sha had a bold idea in his heart. He wants revenge. He wanted to catch the young man who had killed 18 of his subordinates, and then tortured him severely. As long as I eliminate the trace of the smell, I can continue to hide. I don't believe you won't come out. Chiba returns to the courtyard. He first finished eating the barbecue packed from the barbecue shop, and then he got busy. Oh, this plastic bag of clothes is just not good. I only wore it once, and it broke in several places. He is mending plastic bag clothes, which are very important equipment for him. It's all up to you to act tonight, so I have to make you tighter. After mending, Chiba did not forget to talk to himself, and placed high hopes on the clothes in his hand. He cannot relax. After 2 encounters with Sand Shinobi, Chiba knew he needed to speed up his feces collection. At the very least, he had to clean up the excrement in the village first. He is still a little scared. If he hadn't collected feces last night, he must have died today. With a sense of crisis, the stimulating Chiba lost his sleepiness. He is going to act again tonight, trying to squeeze out the rest of the residential area. In this way, only the families are left. Gradually. It was completely dark. Putting on plastic bag clothes and a brand mask made of ragged cotton trousers, Chiba slipped out the door. Be bold, be careful, and don't panic. These 3 points were carried out by him to the end. Not to mention, it was precisely because of his carefulness this time that he avoided another scene where people would collapse into the sky. Originally, Chiba was ready to activate his ability, but he felt it was too hasty, so he waited patiently. As soon as he waited, he heard the footsteps of 2 people appearing from the nearby walled hut, and there were vague words of "dead ghost" and "you are so bad." Finally, he successfully finished the remaining residential areas. After harvesting nearly 60 manure points, Chiba slipped back home satisfied. He was not in a hurry to add some. After all, he had dung points in hand, so he had to sleep first before talking. Early the next morning. In a daze, Chiba felt himself being pushed. Who? With a thump of his body, he was pulled out of the abyss of the dream. Opening his eyes, he saw Aburame Jingmei standing in front of him, looking at him with resentment. Hey. Your breakfast. Putting the love box lunch on the bed, Jingmei turned her head and left. Oh? Why don't you sit down for a while? Chiba replied politely, and then the other party really came back and sat on the chair. Dwang. As soon as he sat down, the three-legged chair fell over. Jingmei fell to the ground directly with her chair. Chiba was stunned. He forgot. He had really forgotten that the chair had only 3 legs. Being thrown all over her face, Aburame Jingmei tried to stand up while holding on to the table. Don't. Chiba yelled. He remembered, this table seems to have only 3 legs. Bang. Quickly. Chiba ran out of the house and ran wildly in the yard. And behind him, Aburame Jingmei followed in circles with her face full of dirt. Stop. I promise not to hit you. I don't stop, you stop first, then I stop. As a result, neither of them stopped. It's so lively. At this moment, Fujiki wearing a mask appeared and shouted. Although part of the sound was cut off by the mask, it was still heard by the 2 people in the yard. Not only did they hear it, they also saw Fujiki appear. Thump. 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 Aburame Shizumi ran away, but before she ran, she gave Chiba a hard look, which made him feel hairy. Didn't you disturb the senior's date? Fujiki had an apology on his face. Don't talk nonsense, I just like to run in the morning. After correcting the opponent, Chiba's eyes fell on Fujiki's hand. You come as soon as you come. Why do you still bring a gift? It's too polite. After speaking, he stepped forward and held out his hand. Senior, these are the clothes I asked someone to make for you overnight. Passing the clothes over, Fujiki said. The clothes are specially made to insulate the smell on your body. Oh? Chiba became interested, and hurriedly began to look at it. The clothes looked the same as usual, except that they seemed a little thicker. The middle of the clothes is a compressed plastic sheet. After what Fujiki said, Chiba suddenly realized. No wonder he felt the thickness of the fabric. It turned out that there was a layer of plastic cloth between the 2 layers of fabric. Senior, there are still masks. He took out a thick stack of masks from his arms, and Fujiki handed them over again. In this way, seniors can freely go to the streets. Hokage Building Conference Room. As usual, Sarutobi Hiruzen sat around with Danzo, Homura, and Kaharu. Look at this information. Orochimaru sent it back last night. Putting the scroll on the table, Sarutobi Hiruzen waits for others to watch. Only. Danzo didn't move. Mitokado Homura didn't move either. Udatane Kaharu also didn't move. Danzo didn't move because he thought Homura would move first. But Homura also felt that Danzo would move first. As for Kaharu, she belongs to the same camp as Homura. As long as Homura moves, she doesn't have to move. Sounds a bit convoluted. To put it bluntly, the 3 of them belonged to 2 camps at this time, and they were all waiting for the other to make the first move. As a result, a strange scene appeared in the meeting room. Sarutobi Hiruzen waited for a long time, while the other 3 sat there motionless as no one came to take the scroll. What are you 3 doing? Finally, Sarutobi Hiruzen got angry and threw the scroll directly to Homura. So far, the confrontation is over. Win with Homura and Kaharu. Snort. Danzo snorted, expressing his displeasure. It's just useless. After reading the information on the scroll, Homura thought about it. Homura, tell me your opinion. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Homura and asked how he felt. The reason why she asked Homura first is because the intelligence content is related to Fujiki and Chiba, especially Chiba. And these 2 people came back together yesterday evening. Asked by Hiruzen, Homura collected his thoughts. Last night, I guessed that Chiba should have attacked Luo Sha with a cesspit, causing the opponent to retreat, but now I found out that I was wrong. Combined with Orochimaru's information, let me guess the situation at that time. While tapping on the table, Homura said slowly. Fujiki encountered Luo Sha and was stunned by a mad bull arranged by Danzo. At this time, Chiba came and started to confront Luo Sha. However, Luo Sha's subordinates finished cleaning up the guard ninjas, so they also appeared. As Homura reasoned about the battle, the others listened carefully, but Danzo squinted, his mind drifting through 10,000 horses. Against. Homura was clearly targeting himself. What is he called the mad cow arranged by Danzo? Obviously the TM was arranged by Hiruzen. Homura's reasoning continued. Chiba casts a swamp cesspit, trapping all sand shinobi in it. He thought that the swamp cesspit would slowly submerge sand shinobi, so he took Fujiki and left. However, Rosa escaped using the corpses of his subordinates as a pedal. I have to say that Homura's reasoning makes a lot of sense, because among the few people present, only he is a master of reasoning with a meticulous mind. In the past several battlefield deduction and restoration of local combat situations, Homura has never made a wrong deduction. Wait a minute. I think there should be another Earth-style ninja. Suddenly, Udatane Kaharu spoke up, dissenting. Kaharu really couldn't believe that Chiba, who was still a commoner a few days ago, could almost wipe out Luo Sha? How many days to cross from commoner to Jonin? This is too ridiculous. Now, Homura was slightly taken aback, and Danzo was ecstatic in his heart. He hurriedly pulled the scroll over and began to browse the content quickly. After a while, Danzo finished reading. HMPH. Homura, thanks to you being a reasoning master, Chiba has only been awakened for a few days. You actually said that he can cast the swamp cesspit that traps so many sand shinobi? Danzo sneered and refuted it face to face. After speaking, he met Kaharu's eyes and nodded slightly at him. Ever since, Danzo and Kaharu managed to form a united front and caught Homura by surprise. Oh? So you both don't think Chiba did it? Sarutobi Hiruzen looked calm, showing no expression. Right. That's right. Kaharu and Danzo both nodded. Homura's face was flushed, obviously annoyed by the stupid Kaharu. He knew that Danzo took advantage of Kaharu's poor IQ and suppressed himself. Well, let's do this. Next, let's talk about the reconstruction of the #1 supply station. Waving his hand, Sarutobi Hiruzen changed the subject. Not long after, the meeting ended. Before leaving, Danzo was so proud that his chin almost went up to the sky. Chun, let's go. Even, Danzo kindly called Kaharu, Spring, which made Homura get goosebumps all over his body. After several people left, Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled. Boom. His figure turned into smoke and disappeared into the meeting room. The residence of the Sarutobi clan. Sarutobi Hiruzen walked to his son Asuma's room with his hands behind his back. Huh? Where's the Asuma people? Seeing the empty room, Sarutobi Hiruzen yelled towards the door. Soon, an Anbu appeared and bowed in front of him. Report Hokage-sama, Asuma is practicing at the training ground. Go and call him back. After giving some light instructions, Hiruzen just stood there with his hands behind his back, waiting. With the lessons learned from Mitokado Homura's son, it is impossible for Sarutobi Hiruzen to let his son go to the supply station. He was even more worried about his son's safety. Therefore, he thought of the famous capital city. It's far away from ninja battles, and at the same time, it can brush up the favor of the daimyo. Chiba, on the other hand, can just protect Asuma. Believe it or not, he doesn't know, but Sarutobi Hiruzen, who is Hokage, is 100% sure that it was Chiba who killed Sand Shinobi, and even almost killed Luo Sha. Chiba doesn't know that he is about to become Asuma's bodyguard. After he put on the new clothes and mask, he sent Fujiki away. Afterwards, he prepared some cardboard and wrote a few big crooked characters. Then he walked to the street with satisfaction and headed for the nearest first family residence. That's right. He's collecting poop again. Armed with the perfect scent masking gear this time, Chiba decided to hit the ground running in broad daylight. Akamichi family residence. Walking through the door with strides, Chiba held his head high, without any nervousness at all. Thump. 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 Who are you? Just a few steps after entering the gate, a fat young man stopped in front of him. Chiba pointed to the cardboard hanging around his neck, and pointed to his own mask. Hokage appoints a manure collector. After reading out the content on the cardboard, the bloated teenager looked suspicious. Lord Hokage appoints the excavators now. Seeing the other party's disbelief, Chiba turned the cardboard over. Huh. It's done in a minute. Although he still didn't believe it, it only took a minute to see what the other party wrote, so Akamichi Dingza decided to let him try. After all, the familial cesspit is almost full. What you write is done in a minute. I hope you don't lie to me. Taking the other party to the side of the hut, Akamichi Dingza did not forget to warn. Then, Chiba walked in. Puff. 10 seconds later, he came out. What are you doing here? Looking for tools. Seeing the other party come out, Ding Zuo asked. I saw that the young man pulled the first cardboard away, revealing the second cardboard. Fixed? Looking at the two big characters written on the cardboard, Ding Zuo's eyes almost popped out. How long has it been? 10 seconds. He clearly heard that the other party seemed to just fart after entering. How could it be done? You wait. I'll go in and have a look. If you don't get it done, I'll get you done. After opening his mouth viciously, the young man Ding Zuo rushed directly into the hut. Then, Ding Zuo was stunned. He saw the deep darkness and space in the latrine. Where did it look like it was about to overflow? Isn't this too fast? Walking out of the hut, Ding Zuo still felt incredible. What ninjutsu is this? Septic technique. Wait a minute. There are other huts. Seeing that the other party turned to leave, Ding Zuo hurriedly persuaded him to stay. The young man in the mask stopped and nodded. After a while, Ding Zuo Akamichi sent the magical excavator out of the gate of the family residence, and signed Akamichi's name on the cardboard. As expected of Mr. Hokage's designated excrement worker, professional enough. Looking at the leaving back, Akamichi Dingza was full of praise. Hyuga family resident. Originally, Chiba was going to be kicked out, but when a teenager from the Hyuga family saw Akamichi's signature on the cardboard, he readily agreed. Efficient. It is the purpose of Chiba service. In just a short while, he cleaned up the Hyuga family's hut. It's just that there was an episode when he left. It was a trivial matter to dig out dung, but when it was time to sign, an old man appeared and signed the words, Hyuga Tenon. You are very good. The old man spoke, and looked at Chiba with a smile. Chiba remained calm and walked away with strides. Grandpa. Why are you here? Hyuga Hiyashi was a little puzzled. How could something as trivial as signing a signature alarm Grandpa? Even praised by Grandpa. You know, Hyuga Tenon has passed the position of patriarch to Hiyashi's father, and then lived in seclusion in the family backyard, hardly coming out. But this time, he was just a dung digger. How could he let Grandpa show up in person? Even sign your own name. At this time, the aged Hyuga Tenon stared at the back of the departing young man, and it took him a while to come back to his senses. Hiyashi, investigate this person. If there is no problem with his identity, try to befriend him. After leaving these words, the old man turned and returned to the backyard. Hyuga Hiyashi. As the young patriarch of the Hyuga clan, Hiyashi never imagined that his grandfather would let him be friends with a manure digger. But he knew that Grandpa would not say these things for no reason. Did Grandpa just open his eyes? Did he see something? Hiyashi guessed in his mind. He guessed right. Just now Hyuga Tenon did open his eyes, and the reason why he opened his eyes was because he sensed the fluctuation of time-space technique. Then, Chiba came into the eyes of Hyuga Tenon. When Chiba started to clean the second hut of the Hyuga family, the whole process was witnessed by Hyuga Tenon with a blank stare. With the Hyuga family taken care of, Chiba's momentum is boosted. Strive for one day to collect all the families. Immediately, he moved on to the next family. When Chiba came to the gate of the Jikun clan's residence, he happened to bump into a familiar person. Danzo. At this time, Danzo had just finished the meeting and was about to walk back to the family residence. As a result, he saw a young man wearing a mask walking in. Stop. Although the other party was wearing a mask, Danzo recognized at a glance that the other party was not a member of the family. Facing Danzo's yelling, Chiba revealed the cardboard on his chest. Hokage appoints a manure collector. Scanning the writing on the cardboard, Danzo sneered. Is the excrement worker appointed by Hiruzen? He wouldn't believe it even if he was killed. Hide your head and show your tail with a mask on. Let me see who you are. So bold. As he spoke, Danzo's left hand was as fast as lightning, and he directly pulled off the mask on the young man's face. Eh? Chiba? Seeing the other person's appearance, Danzo's whole body trembled. Then, he hastily put the mask back on Chiba's face. Ahem. The old man was reckless just now, right? Go. At this time, Danzo's complexion was mild, completely gone from the coldness and ruthlessness just now. Come on, take Chiba to the hut. Bring in a clansman, Danzo commanded. Watching Chiba leave with the tribe, Danzo breathed a sigh of relief. It's a good thing he didn't let him speak, otherwise. Standing where he was, Danzo muttered to himself. Wrong. Suddenly, Danzo was taken aback, and the scene of the previous meeting room began to emerge in his mind. As Hokage's assistant, Danzo is no fool. Although he fought back against Homura in the conference room, it does not mean that he disagreed with the other party's speculation. A commoner has the strength to defeat Luosha in just a few days. This kind of talent. Also, he doesn't have that smell. The more he thought about it, the more satisfied Danzo became. This is simply the ideal talent for Roots. Ever since, Danzo stood at the gate of the station and waited. He wants to recruit the other party into the root family. Soon. As soon as Chiba finished collecting the feces, he walked out of the gate when Danzo stood in front of him. Chiba, are you interested in coming to the root of my formation? Danzo smiled all over his face, and his tone was very gentle. Chiba was quite moved by the warm invitation from the other party. So, he took off his mask with a look of joy on his face. Okay. I promise. As soon as he opened his mouth, the strong smell of Oli sprayed on Danzo's face instantly. F*K. You. Danzo's mind was completely stunned. He stepped back a few steps, staggered, squatted on the ground and got up. This. Chiba swears that he really didn't do it on purpose, but because he was excited, he couldn't help but took off the mask. Today, he held back for too long without speaking, and suddenly there was such a person who invited him, wouldn't he be excited? Hurry up. Put on the mask. Leaning on the ground and vomiting, Danzo did not forget to remind. This taste is too big. Originally, Danzo thought that the other party had eliminated the taste, but what he didn't expect was that the taste in Chiba's mouth became even stronger after a few days of absence. If this recruits the other party into the root, the others may all be smoked away. Chiba. I thought about it, you better be your dung collector. Covering his nose, Danzo left such a sentence, and ran away in embarrassment. Chiba was a little disappointed inside. Quickly. When he scanned the dung dots on the attribute panel, the disappointment in his heart disappeared immediately. A mere root, how can it accommodate my real body? Full of motivation again, he walked towards the next family with strides. The residents of the Sarutobi clan, father. Wearing a simple short jacket, Asuma came to the door of the room. Come with me. After looking at his son, Hiruzen spoke softly and walked out of the room slowly. The father and son were pacing in the yard, and the scene was warm. Asuma. You've also become a chunin now, it's time to go out and experience yourself. Okay, my lord father. Although Asuma is still a teenager, she looks more mature and her tone is respectful. The daimyo of the capital city sent me a letter, saying that he lacks guards there. Prepare yourself today and leave tomorrow. Yes. Father. Well, I will help you find someone to protect your safety along the way. Just as Sarutobi Hiruzen said this, a young man wearing a mask walked in from the gate of the courtyard. Involuntarily, the eyes of the father and son fell on each other. Chiba never imagined that he just ran into shit, not only met Danzo, but even Sarutobi Hiruzen? It's Chiba. Sarutobi Hiruzen directly revealed Chiba's identity, and his eyes fell on the cardboard on his chest. Go. Nodding his head, Hiruzen indicated the location of the hut. This made Chiba a little embarrassed. He forgot to change the content of the cardboard, but it was smashed by the owner. However, the other party obviously didn't care. Why do I feel weird? Chiba was a little dazed, feeling something was wrong. But what's wrong, he doesn't know. Forget it, collect the dung first. After finishing the Sarutobi family residence, he went straight to the next family. On this day, Chiba was very busy. In order to collect the whole village earlier, he didn't eat lunch. Finally, the feces of each family were collected by him. At dusk, with a barbecue in his hand, he returned home. After hastily eating, Chiba can finally add some. Opening the attribute panel, he decided to upgrade his ability. Host. Chiba, fruit. Dung fruit, a fruit condensed from the essence of countless kinds of dung. Fruit introduction. Can control and manipulate all biological feces and excrement. Fruit initial ability, upgradable, reincarnation of 5 grains, control feces in all living organisms. Imitation ability. This level of ninjutsu for all ninjas. Elementary dung fist, upgradable, manipulate feces to condense into fists to attack the enemy. Up to 10 dung fists can be condensed at the same time. Septic tank, infinite space, dedicated to storing feces. Gather the feces within a radius of 100 meters through the mind, and store them through the mouth. Dung point. 1 ton of dung equals 1 dung point, 244.55. Usable chakra amount, upgradable, 475 hundredths. Seeing the dung points soaring to more than 240, Chiba's mood is hard to calm down. He has exhausted Konoha village's decades of inventory and has a huge amount of dung points. Don't worry about anything else, bring chakra up first. Chiba intends to directly rush to the S-level imitation ability, so he needs to increase the amount of chakra. 10 o'clock, 20, 30, 40. With the consumption of a large amount of dung points, he felt that his body was constantly being strengthened. It's not just my body, I feel a mysterious force expanding in my head. Before, he didn't feel too obvious, it was just that his stamina had improved, but now as he added more and more points, he found that his body was getting stronger and stronger, and there was a certain change in his head. Is the qualitative change caused by the quantitative change? 50 points, 60, 70, 80, 90. Continuing to add more points, Chiba's eyes have been staring at the changes in imitation ability. Finally, he stopped. Imitation ability. This level of ninjutsu for all ninjas. Looking down, he looked at chakra. Usable chakra amount, upgradable, 1470-1500. After consuming 100 dung points, his imitable ninjutsu was successfully promoted to S rank. There are 144 dung points. Muttering to himself, he clicked on the initial ability to upgrade the fruit. Intermediate fruit ability, upgradable, reincarnation of 5 grains, faster, stronger, wider range, control the feces in all living things. Click again. Advanced fruit ability, reincarnation of 5 grains, beauty, detoxification, control the feces of all living things. F*K. Seeing this line of introduction, Chiba was stunned. Isn't this F*King funny? The intermediate ones are faster, stronger, and have a wider range. How come the advanced ones become like this? Cosmetic? Beauty? Detox? Is this to allow yourself to open a beauty salon? No. I have to test it. He couldn't take it anymore, so he shot it directly at himself. Ability to activate. The reincarnation of grains. Goal. Yourself. Invisible fluctuations swept across itself. Then, Chiba was startled. He found that the palm of his hand was filled with black sludge, exuding an unpleasant stench. Not just in the palm of your hand. He could feel his whole body being sticky. It's over. Why is there no channeling function? Chiba wants to cry but has no tears. No. There's more in the introduction. It should be that I'm the only one who can't stalk. Looking at the introduction again, he felt relieved. Advanced fruit ability. Reincarnation of 5 grains, beauty, detoxification, control the feces of all living things. But to be on the safe side, he felt that he should try others. After washing off the greasy sludge on his body, Chiba put on his clothes casually and ran directly towards the streets of the village. He didn't realize that the smell on his body at this time disappeared. There are many pedestrians on the street in the evening. Chiba squatted in the corner, his eyes fell on a young ninja with a ninja forehead protector. Ability to activate, 5 grain reincarnation. Next moment. Puff. I saw that this ninja's whole body was covered with black sludge, and a large area protruded from his trouser pocket, which was obviously thin. Not only that. Plop. The young ninja collapsed directly to the ground, his limbs constantly swinging. This. Chiba was a little embarrassed to see the young ninja lying on the ground, his limbs trembling like he was suffering from epilepsy. After all, he did it. Although the other party does not know. Thump. He walked to the street and helped the other party up, completely ignoring the stench of Ali from the other party's body. Thank you. Kato Dan thanked feebly, his whole body felt light. He had no energy left. This feeling is like being humiliated by a dozen burly women all night, and the limbs are limp. Crash. At this moment, Ali, who was originally gathered in the trouser pocket, flowed down Kato Dan's trouser legs, and fell all over the ground with a baji and baji. How embarrassing. So embarrassing. What's more, the taste is too strong. Kato Dan swears that he has never been so humiliated. Fortunately, he met a kind person. Thank you very much, my name is Kato Dan, may I have your name? After being sent home, Kato Dan thanked and asked for the name of the kind person. The name and everything are just floating clouds, just call me Konoha Dashi. Chiba waved his hand, left this sentence, and turned to leave. Ambassador Konoha? Back home. Chiba sat in the yard and meditated. First of all, the ability of reincarnation of 5 grains has been enhanced, and it's not even a little bit stronger. Thinking back to the state of the ninja on the street just now, he can be sure that the strength of Wugu Samsara has broken through the sky. Not only does the channeling function still exist, but even once the attack is made, the opponent directly becomes a soft-legged shrimp. If you encounter an enemy, Chiba reckons, how can it weaken the enemy's combat power by 90%, right? Most importantly, this is still a group ability. And then there's chakra and the ability to mimic. Scanning the S level on the attribute panel, Chiba's sense of security bursts. Huh? The smell on me? The other party didn't smell it just now? Suddenly, Chiba froze. He forgot to wear a mask when he went to the street this time, but when he was face to face with that soft-footed shrimp, the other party didn't have you? It's simply impossible. Involuntarily, his eyes fell on the attribute panel. Advanced fruit ability. Reincarnation of 5 grains, beauty, detoxification, control the feces of all living things. Detox? Is that what you mean? Chiba understands. Detoxification, it can really detoxify, and it can also remove the smell on your body. Very good. At this point Chiba was too excited. He finally didn't have to worry about his own smell. During this period of time, he suffered so much staring, abuse, slander, and discussion. And now, Chiba just wants to say something loudly. Lousy has stood up. Host. Chiba, fruit. Dung fruit, a fruit condensed from the essence of countless kinds of dung. Fruit introduction. Can control and manipulate all biological feces and excrement. Advanced fruit ability. Reincarnation of 5 grains, beauty, detoxification, control the feces of all living things. Imitation ability. This level of ninjutsu for all ninjas. Elementary dung fist. Manipulate feces to condense into fists to attack the enemy. Up to 10 dung fists can be condensed at the same time. Septic tank. Infinite space, dedicated to storing feces. Gather the feces within a radius of 100 meters through the mind, and store them through the mouth. Dung point. 1 ton of dung equals 1 dung point, 4. Usable chakra amount, upgradable, 1430-1500. Looking at his current strength in the attribute panel, Chiba laughed heartily. This night, he slept very soundly. Without the pressure, Chiba even had a wonderful dream, drooling from the corner of his mouth. Early the next morning. Dwang. I don't know what happened. Chiba obviously remembered that he was sleeping on the bed. Why did he suddenly fall to the ground? He opened his eyes and saw a smug girl. This is even. Aburame Jingmei crossed her waist, her eyes were bent into a pair of crescent moons, and she spoke proudly. Chiba saw that there was still a love box hanging on the right hand of the other party, so he didn't intend to care about the other party. After all, this is the breeder, so it's not easy to offend. Eat quickly. Master Hokage is looking for you. Seeing Chiba's lazy look, Shizumi urged. Hokage looking for yourself? Chiba looked suspicious. Master Hokage is looking for me. How did you know? Aren't you a rookie from the Aburame clan? You are the rookie. Miss Ben is very powerful, okay. Waving her fist, Shizumi bared her teeth. HMPH. If you hadn't stolen my worm, I would have let the worm kill you right now. Also, I received an order from Lord Hokage, ordering you to go to the entrance of the village immediately. I haven't eaten yet. Eat it on the way. After packing a few things, Chiba didn't have time to eat, so he had to go out with his lunchbox. As soon as he stepped out from the empty wall, Chiba froze. Jingmei. Have you noticed that the garbage dump seems to be moving? Move, you big-headed ghost. Go faster. Being dragged away by Jingmei, Chiba still felt a little weird. Could it be my dazzled eyes early in the morning? As he walked further and further away, Chiba simply stopped thinking about it. After all, it's just a garbage dump, how can it move? When he came to the gate of the village, Chiba squatted at the gate and ate his boxed lunch. Why do I always wait at the gate every time I go out on a mission? Looking at the empty gate, he couldn't understand it. He wondered if he had come early. Otherwise, why would there not even be a shadow of a ghost? What makes Chiba even more incomprehensible is, where are the guards at the entrance of the village? What about Qingtian? After pulling out the lunchbox, no one came. To be honest, he is a little suspicious now whether Jingmei is fooling herself. He was very anxious, but he waited until now, and he didn't even see a single hair. Wait and wait, wait and wait. Finally, someone showed up. I saw 2 teenagers wearing masks walking towards the entrance of the village, both carrying bulging backpacks. If they didn't know, they would have thought that the 2 of them were going to school. Fujiki. Seeing one of them, Chiba recognized it immediately. And the other one he has also seen is the boy next to Hokage who he met when the Sarutobi clan was digging out the excrement. This mature look, Asuma. These are 2 heavyweight flowers. Although the waiting time was a bit long, as a senior, Chiba waved at the 2 of them. As a result, he found out, the 2 did not move. Thump. 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 Since the opponent is not moving, Chiba can only move by himself. So, he walked towards the 2 of them. When he moved, both of them backed up together, as if they were playing with him. At the same time, a mask was thrown from Fujiki's hand. They thought I still smelled, Looking at the mask in his hand, Chiba realized. After putting on the mask, he didn't bother to explain. No matter what he says now, he is also invincible in the ninja world, and he must have a strong character. How can he explain it at every turn? Senior. Fujiki stepped forward with an apologetic tone. As a result, Chiba turned his head away and ignored him. It didn't matter that he turned his head, but he turned in front of Asuma. Hello, Senior. Asuma's tone is sincere and respectful. However, this is still useless. Chiba turned his head halfway again, and stared forward with his hands behind his back, proud and indifferent. He. This is the style. Senior, this is for your own good. If he speaks, it will taste bad. At this time, Fujiki explained thoughtfully. I see, Senior Chiba is really thinking of us. Asuma stood in awe. No wonder the other party didn't face him, it was because he was afraid that the taste in his mouth would rush to his face. Hearing the discussion between the two, Chiba was stunned. He just wanted to maintain the force of a strong man. How could it be explained like this? Oh, that's right. There is one more person who hasn't come, Senior, we are waiting. After Fujiki finished speaking, he looked into the village. Anyone else? Chiba was speechless. 4 people? This can make up a table of mahjong. Wait. The 3 of them waited for a long time at the entrance of the village. Not to mention that the mentality of Chiba and others is about to explode, but Fujiki and Asuma are impatiently spinning in circles, like ants on a hot pot. Fujiki, are you sure there are still people? Asuma became anxious and asked. It's almost noon, and I can finish shitting. Actually I don't know either. But that person said once that she would also participate in missions with Senior Chiba in the future. Fujiki scratched his head in embarrassment, and responded. What? Chiba turned his head, questioning in his eyes. You two just chat. Why did you talk about me? Thump. Thump. At this moment, a figure finally appeared. When Chiba looked over at the running girl, he was in a bad mood. Aburame Jingmei. To be honest, no matter what Chiba thought, he never thought it would be her. Is this a teammate? She was the one who woke herself up early in the morning, but in the end, she was the one who was late. At this time, Aburame Shizumi was also carrying a backpack, a standard ninja combat uniform, and a ninja bag on her lap. The only thing that is a bit discordant is the pair of ponytails. While running towards the entrance of the village, the pair of ponytails kept swinging back and forth. Sorry, Chiba-senpai, I'm late. As soon as she ran to the front, Jingmei apologized, but there was no apology on her face. Chiba. Near noon, the 4 of them finally hit the road. It's really not easy. Looking at Jingmei who was bouncing around, Chiba really couldn't hold on. Anyone who waits all morning has to do this. Ever since, Fujiki and Asuma led the way, followed by Chiba and Shizumi. Chiba. What is our mission this time? After walking for a while, Aburame Jingmei began to ask. Unfortunately, Chiba doesn't know either. This mission may be waiting for you. Replying casually, Chiba was listless. What do you mean waiting for me? I have prepared a lot of good things for you. While speaking, Shizumi's hand also reached into the backpack. Hearing this sentence, Chiba immediately regained his spirits. I see. The little girl turned out to be preparing something for herself. His eyes were looking forward to what delicious food the other party would come up with. After all, it's almost noon. Next moment. A roll of toilet paper was brought out. Chiba. He swears that he read it right. Aburame Jingmei did indeed take out a roll of toilet paper. Nah. Handing over the roll of paper, Jingmei put her hand into the backpack again. What do you mean? Let me wipe my ass after shitting. Chiba was a little speechless. Then, a large medical bag appeared again. I prepared this specially for you. In case you get injured, I am a medical ninja. Jingmei's expression was quite serious, and Chiba was taken aback for a while. And this? Binglang pills. Take a few more when you're running. Money. Being caught by the enemy, this can save your life. Family crest. If the enemy is cruel, give this to the enemy. Let them take it to the village for ransom. The Chiba people were all dumbfounded, their faces full of bewilderment. Can a ninja do this? Shouldn't ninjas carry more detonating symbols, shurikens or something? He seriously doubts whether Aburame Jingmei has ever performed a mission. Do you think it's useless for me to bring these? Seeing the other party's expression of hell, the little girl was quite angry. It's not because of you. Chiba was stunned, not knowing why. Why did you bring yourself into trouble with these things? You stole my bug, my strength has declined. Chiba. Facing Shizumi's reason, Chiba was speechless. In front of the two, Fujiki and Asuma couldn't stand it any longer. They quickened their pace, and threw the two behind them a long way. Walked about 10 miles, the four stopped. Eat something before leaving. Asuma proposed, and the other three readily agreed. Ever since, Asuma took out the dango. Fujiki also took out the dumplings. It was Chiba's turn, and he looked directly at Shizumi with nothing. Fortunately, I prepared 2 lunchboxes. The little girl was very proud, and she took out a scroll like a magic trick, and then there was a bang of smoke, and there were 2 more lunchboxes on the scroll. Bento. Are there only 2 copies? Asuma and Fujiki looked at the lunchbox first, and then looked down at the dumpling in their hands, full of envy. The two of them ate dumplings, while Chiba and Jingmei pulled the box lunch. The scene seemed normal, but Fujiki and Asuma seemed to have forgotten that there is no smell of Ali around them. Oh. How did you forget that there is a barbecue? Suddenly, Jingmei yelled, and took out another bag of barbecue from her backpack. Fujiki. Asuma. Chiba. You should have said it earlier. After speaking, I started cooking again. I am full. Fujiki stood up and turned his head in another direction. Me too. Asuma turned around directly and spoke quietly. Suddenly, Chiba was startled, and turned to look at a dense forest. He sensed that someone was watching. What's wrong with you? Eat quickly. Jingmei's mouth is full of oil, and she doesn't forget to tell her. Only, Chiba didn't look back. At this moment, his gaze met with an eyeball floating in midair. This kind of ninjutsu? Luo Sha. A figure flashed in his mind, and Chiba was quite surprised. He clearly remembered that Luo Sha was drowned in his own cesspit, but he didn't die. Standing up with a base, Chiba twisted his neck. At this moment, his expression changed. No more laughing, no more idleness. Yes, it is a fighting spirit soaring to the sky, and piercing eyes. The enemy is coming. Taking a step forward, Chiba's voice reached the ears of several people. Fujiki was startled. Asuma turned around hastily. The barbecue that Jingmei had just put in her mouth fell to the ground with a baji. Fujiki. Who is the enemy? Asuma. Where is the enemy? Jingmei. Let's run away. Following Jingmei's words, except for Chiba who didn't respond, the other two looked at her in unison. Running away? Are you serious? You protect yourselves? After instructing several people again, Chiba jumped directly onto the tree trunk. Disappeared? He saw the eyeball disappear in midair. In other words, you were rushing here. With a smile on the corner of his mouth, Chiba jumped off the tree trunk and waited quietly. Behind him, the three of Fujiki held a kunai and formed a triangle shape as if they were facing a big enemy. Chiba can be sure that Luo Sha will launch an attack. So he didn't have to look for the other party at all, and the other party would come. Quiet. It was surprisingly quiet. At this time, the forest was silent, and it seemed that a shocking storm was brewing. Chiba, is there really an enemy? After waiting for a long time, Jingmei's legs were a little sore, and she asked in a low voice. Not only she was puzzled, but Fujiki and Asuma also looked at Chiba who was behind him, waiting for the other party's answer. Enemy? Where is the enemy? They have been on guard for half an hour, and they haven't heard even a bird call. Suddenly, Chiba's expression changed, and he suddenly looked into the depths of the forest. He feels it. Coming. Saying these two words, Chiba's eyes narrowed. Shock. It's the sound of vibration, came from deep in the forest. Although it was very faint, it was still noticed by Chiba. Reminded by Chiba, the three of Shizumi also stretched their necks and looked towards the forest. As a result, the three of them saw nothing. Senior Chiba? Do you feel wrong? Fujiki spoke again, with even more doubts in his heart. Could it be that you were too nervous? Dazzled? Asuma opened her eyes wide, but didn't notice anything. No. Look over there. Suddenly, Jingmei shouted and pointed to the treetop in the distance. Just at this moment, boom, boom, it was like the sound of waves hitting the rocks finally came. At this moment, the faces of Fujiki and the others changed drastically. How is that possible? Is that golden sand? Sand taller than a tree? Is this a wave? It's over. We're going to be drowned. The three of them were almost dumbfounded, their eyeballs were all round. See. The endless stretches of golden sand rolled up billowing sand waves that were taller than the big trees, rushing towards them. The golden sand waves had a height of more than 10 meters, and instantly flooded a large forest. This is your method? Create sand waves from a long distance? A look of disdain flashed in Chiba's eyes, Stand firm. After exhorting 3 oil bottles, Chiba clasped his hands together. Why do you have to put 10 together? Because he felt compelled. That's all. Stand still? Die with dignity like this? It's dead anyway, I want to sit down and rest for a while. When the 3 heard Chiba's words, they didn't understand the meaning at all. Shouldn't it be a girl running wild now? This kind of death can be a little slower. Even Jingmei wanted to sit down and rest for a while. At this time, Earth Style, Earth Flow City Wall. Chiba shouted loudly, and directly activated the imitation ability. This is Yamato's move. With this move, he created a mountain wall and helped Naruto practice wind-style spiral shuriken. Boom. The ground shook violently instantly, shaking the 3 of them left and right. Immediately afterwards, a giant mountain wall rose from the ground. If it is an ordinary mountain wall, it must be a mountain wall. But this mountain wall is covered with a thick layer of dung. Huge, thick, majestic, and flavorful. The mountain wall keeps rising, and dung water keeps flowing down. In 2 breaths, the mountain wall has surpassed the height of the big tree. However, this has not stopped, and it is still rising rapidly. Across, thousands of meters, height 50 meters. Standing on the mountain wall, Chiba looked down lightly at the sand sea below, with an invincible attitude in the ninja world. It's just a small sand wave more than 10 meters high, isn't it going to crawl at the foot of the mountain wall? Now, the 3 of Fujiki were completely stunned. They never dreamed that Chiba could perform such an exaggerated earth-style ninjutsu. This level of earth-style. He-ya. It's amazing. You, sneak. This. Vomit. Huh. As soon as the 3 got excited, they smelled the disgusting smell of Ali, so they covered it with their hands. This cover, all slipped. Ha. 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 The 3 of Fujiki hit the ground face to face one after another, and their faces were covered with paste. Only then did they understand the true meaning of the phrase, stand firm, that Chiba just said. It's just too late. Where's my mask? Quick, put it on. I don't have a mask. Fujiki and Asuma's first reaction was to wear masks, even forgetting to wipe their faces. To say she is smart, she has to be Jingmei. She took out a roll of toilet paper directly from her backpack, feeling extremely proud. I just said there is no leukeria on this piece of paper. As soon as he finished speaking, Fujiki and Asuma immediately attracted begging eyes. Ever since, she generously gave a little to the 2 of them. When Chiba looked back and saw this scene, his eyes were straightened. Glancing at the 3 of Jingmei, Chiba's expression changed, and he turned his head to look down. Although the sea of sand did not cause any waves at this time, Chiba still noticed it. There is an extremely strong spiritual power in his mind, which can detect very subtle movements. Are you coming? Squinting his eyes slightly, Chiba muttered to himself. Next moment, the sand sea suddenly churned and condensed, forming a giant gold dust palm. The diameter of the palm is tens of meters, protruding from the sand sea. Call. Accompanied by the violent sound of the wind, the gold dust palm rushed straight up. What is this? Such a big palm. Fujiki found the palm under the mountain wall and couldn't help exclaiming. Immediately, Asuma and Shizumi also looked over. Isn't this too big? If we were photographed, we would be meatloaf. Asuma is okay. Just said the palm is too big. But Jingmei directly said that she would be photographed as a meat pie, which seriously hit the confidence of the other 2. Wind style, oppression. Just then, Chiba made another shot. He imitated the pressure from the angle and displayed the powerful wind style. This trick was once rated as natural disaster-like destructive power, which can form a vortex storm and strike a large area. Boom. In an instant, an ultra-high pressure storm swept out, like a storm cannon, and bombarded the golden sand palm heavily. Wow. The golden sand palm disintegrated directly, turning into scattered gold dust. Not only that, the storm continued to sweep out, showing a strange color of yellow and clear. It's transformed feces, with a sickening oily smell. Is this wind style? Chiba still has wind style? Fujiki's tone was trembling, unbelievable. If Chiba can play earth style, Toxin believes. After all, the original cesspit can be attributed to earth style. But what happened to wind style? This should be considered shit escape, right? Look at the color of the yellow wind below. Asuma spoke in a low voice, as if afraid of being heard by Chiba. What shit escape? Didn't Chiba shout just now, this is wind style? Jingmei explained a sentence to justify Chiba's name. Hearing the conversation between the 3, Chiba temporarily ignored it. His gaze landed on a sea of sand. It's really smart, and I haven't shown up until now. But, I can still find you, Chiba smiled. He discovered the opponent's flaw. If the sand sea hit before, he thought the opponent was at a super long distance. But with the appearance of Sandpalm, Chiba has already confirmed the opponent's position. He also knew that Luo Sha must have the ability to quickly shuttle through the sea of sand. It's just that for Chiba, it's useless. Imitation ability activated. Roll your eyes. In an instant, Chiba's eyes changed. His eyeballs no longer look like normal people, but have become two spiral-shaped ollie to give the shape. The feces technique is so domineering, turning the white eyes into feces eyes. At this moment, Chiba's sight also changed. In his eyes, everything has become a yellowish color. He began to lean over and scan his surroundings. Huh? Look quickly. Why did Chiba's eyes turn into two lumps of shit? What? Really? Hula fart for the two of you, is that in the shape of a big dung? It's obviously in the shape of ice cream. Jingmei began to refute the two with 1-against-2. Suddenly, Jingmei stopped talking. He finds Chiba jumping off a cliff. Fujiki and Asuma also saw Chiba jump off the mountain wall. Got you. In his dung eyes, Luo Sha has nowhere to hide. The imitation ability activates. Lightning style, rakery. At this moment, Chiba's left hand suddenly gushes out countless feces, spurting wildly. It's like a watering can with a turbo engine. Whoosh. Landing on the sea of sand, Chiba's left hand poked violently. Pooh. Ah. Bright red blood spurted out, accompanied by Luo Sha's shrill screams. Impossible. You can't find me. Shouting at the top of his voice, the golden sand shook and turned into the appearance of Luo Sha. His shoulder was punctured, leaving behind a large piece of feces that stinks. At the same time, there is bloodline mixed with feces flowing. Under my eyes, you have nowhere to hide. Chiba opened his mouth lightly, and looked at the other party indifferently. Luo Sha met each other's eyes. Then. He was dumbfounded. Eyes shaped like shit. What the F*** is this? Okay, you've been bouncing around for so long, it's time to send you on your way. Chiba got impatient and was going to send Luo Sha to see the Buddha.